when it comes to gardening and yard work, I think it's really easy at this point in the season to kind of just turn a blind eye and let it slip, right? We've worked so hard after all, and you start to wonder if finish line projects are even worth it. My first guest this morning says there are a few key things you should do now to not only pretty up your yard for the rest of the season, but to guarantee a beautiful yard come spring as well. I'm with Jessica Berrett. She's the horticulture manager at the Ashton Garden at Thanksgiving Point. That line of credibility says everything about what you can do and what you can help us do. And may I point out, Jessica is wearing a sweater this morning because you can.
I can.
Because it's crisp and it's like...
For about 30 more minutes, I think I can.
It's a fun thing to embrace. It is. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. This time in the season, you probably hear sort of the tiredness in people's voices as they're asking questions or asking for advice. But you're here to say, don't give up.
Yeah, I mean, we're all tired.
Sure.
But you know what? The garden checklist is never ending. You can always find something to do, and there's things that we can do right now that'll keep our garden fresh going into fall and even help us going into spring next year.
You say there are two main areas that deserve our attention.
Yeah, I think this is a good time of year to look after your flower beds, especially your perennial flower beds. There's several things we can do to keep those looking fresh and also to prepare them for spring next year.
All right, a refresh on the flower beds. Talk us through that, Jessica. What does it look like?
So if you have annuals that are tired, go ahead and pull those out.
Okay.
And you can either mulch over those areas or you can go get some cool fall annuals. I think a lot of us have probably seen the ornamental cabbages and
the colors.
kales.
They're so pretty,
So
and the
pretty.
textures.
Pansies, celosia, or the kind of fluffy looking furry ones.
But to emphasize, permission to say goodbye to those annuals that aren't working for you.
If they're not working for them, take them out.
Yeah.
I mean, if they look great, leave them.
And now a good time to plant those fall varieties that you mentioned?
Yeah, you'll notice the nurseries are just starting to get them right now. It's perfect timing.
All right, and then you want us to refresh the mulch.
Yes. So this is about the time of year when our mulch maybe is starting to look a little tired. So this is a great time to add a little bit more. You don't need to go crazy and hit every spot, but take a step back, look at your beds, say, these areas are bare, and just kind of touch it up a little bit.
And you say there are some interesting options to consider.
Yeah, so there are some interesting new ones on the market right now. I brought a few examples to show today. This is a tried and true. This is what Thanksgiving Point uses. This is what I like to use at my home. This is called Soil Pep.
I mean, I think we can stop right there if that's what Thanksgiving Point uses. And what you use. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's really finely shredded bark, basically.
Yeah.
And it just looks like nice forest dirt, pretty much.
Okay.
Some other interesting options right now are these hazelnut shells.
Oh, that's
crushed.
Cool. That's cool.
And these are actually buckwheat hulls.
Oh.
And I've seen these at a few botanical gardens around the country. They're not as common here, so you might have to search a little or even have them delivered. And if you live in a windy area, I wouldn't.
Sure.
Because they're really lightweight.
They would fly away and disappear.
Yeah, these are also options for your houseplants, honestly. If you want to add a nice, even cover to the top of your houseplant.
Well, I was going to ask,
work inside.
Is this more aesthetic opinion, or are there planting benefits to these varieties?
Both.
Both.
So it gives a nice even texture to your dirt, but also it's going to help hold the moisture in your dirt, which we need so badly here in Utah.
In our desert.
This is another one that's made from cocoa fibers.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
From cocoa beans.
Okay. Look at that. Are there any mulches, is that plural? Is that the plural tense? Yeah, I don't use that word every day. Any mulches to avoid or stay away from?
Personally, I avoid rubber mulches and rock mulches because they're just hot in our summers and they're hard to keep weed free.
Okay.
It's actually easier to weed these natural mulches.
Okay, so we're removing the old, we're remulching. We might be replacing with some of those perennials that you mentioned. Share some advice when planting new. You mentioned varieties. What else should we consider?
One of the things I love to do at this time of year is to look at the clearance racks for perennials.
Oh, okay, good tip.
Because a lot of nurseries, and especially even big box stores that don't carry plants year round, are ready to move their plants out. And this is a great time of year to pick up some of those more expensive plants for a good deal. So I brought a few examples that I picked up off of the sale rack to show you guys.
Let's go shopping.
Can we walk around the front?
Sure, please.
So, for example, now these are going to look a little sad. You have to accept that you're buying something that used to look nicer.
You see hope in this?
Would you buy this?
I would buy this.
This is the same plant.
Okay.
So if you take this home and plant it.
And I love it.
Next spring,
it
will look like this.
Long game. Okay.
We're planning for spring.
Yes.
Here's another example. This is a knockout rose, which is a really popular landscape rose. It blooms all the time. It's bright. It doesn't fade. This one looks sad, I know, but if you plant it, next spring is when it's gonna have
Its moment.
its moment.
Its shine of glory.
And over here is just a few more, and these literally were less than $4.
Okay.
All of these, inexpensive.
Nice.
So you can see they look kind of sad. I mean, they're a little sparse, but this is a daylily, which in a few years will grow to this size.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
And then others here, these are just some other clearance perennials that do really well here. This is a clematis, it's a vine with flowers, and this is a coneflower.
Okay. Echinacea was also on your clearance list.
Yeah, that's coneflower.
That's coneflower. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And if we want to spend even less and go for the free option, you say we can divide our existing perennials.
Absolutely,
Yeah?
absolutely. So you might notice sometimes your perennials you've had for a few years, they get too big for the space.
They show off.
Sometimes they even die in the middle and become a donut. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yes. Now that you say it,
Yeah.
kind of wilted and yellow.
So what you can do is we're gonna divide up this perennial. I dug this out.
Oh my gosh, look at you. This is where I stand back in pure intimidation and admiration.
Okay, so this can be divided into so many little plants.
Really?
Basically as many as you want.
Really? And it won't
So-
destroy the root or limit
No.
the ability? Okay.
So we're gonna grab our tools.
Oh gosh.
And
Now she's pulled out a Halloween knife and I'm not sure what to do about it. Just kidding.
it's my garden weapon.
Okay.
And even a lot of times you can just use your hands.
Okay.
But see how we just pull this apart, and each one of these,
Can be its own moment.
oh no.
What?
That's a bad guy.
Oh gosh, goodbye. You were just invited to leave.
So you can see kind of the little tubery root things
Yeah.
from the daylily. You can take this and plant it back in its place. And can you see how many lilies
Sure.
you could take off of this?
And is there a key to thrive? Is there a key to those succeeding and surviving?
So you're gonna wanna get them back in the ground as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So that these roots aren't sitting out and drying for too long.
Okay.
But other than that, especially lilies like this are so hardy. Just put them in the ground. The tops will kind of look sad, cut them off. Next spring is when it's gonna pay off.
I love that we're already talking about next spring, which means we're almost to fall, which means your sweater is cute, and we are here in the crisp air together, and you've left us feeling empowered and with a really actionable checklist, so we know what to do. Jessica, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Where can we get more advice from you, sister?
So I have an Instagram, plant.geek, and I'm also on LinkedIn.
Do you love when people call you plant geek? That's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
totally. We'll link you over to her Instagram. You should be following if you aren't already. Follow the link on our website, and thanks again for
Thank
the
you.
late summer yard checklist.